What's up, nerds? My name is Brendan, the nerd of many faces, and to my right, as always, is I gestured left. I don't know why. Cameras are reversed. And to my right is, of course, Shane at FDS Cosplay, and we are the Knights of Nerd. How you doing, Shane?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing today?
Doing all right.
Good.
Of course, we always have like a plethora of topics to discuss, and there's just so many, it's hard to almost break it down. But today we have limited to two. We have limited to two topics.
Yep.
One being the release of the Suicide Squad, and also the release of part 1 of the season finale of The Bad Batch. Now, Shane and I are both Star Wars nerds. I mean, the first time that I went to Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, I wanted to build my own lightsaber. I made sure that happened. And everything else, and that was a fantastic experience, and I would have not traded it for anything else in the world. And then of course with Shane and I gestured left again. Shane and I both being DC cosplayers and lovers of the comic book universe that DC has to offer. We have some interesting and varied thoughts in terms of the Suicide Squad. So, let's just get into it. Well, actually, okay. So, question for you, Shane. How did you view the Suicide Squad?
I watched it at home on HBO Max because I'm not like everybody. I don't have to go to the theater to see films. My experiences at movie theaters are horrible. I don't know if it's because of where I like the area that I live in, but I mean, a few weeks ago we went to the movies. I haven't been to the movies, in over a year. So we went to go see Fast 9, and I love that series, and it just keeps getting more out there than that last one. But I mean, we're sitting there watching the movie, and then all of a sudden the group next to us decides to start taking selfies and shit during the movie, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, I'm trying to enjoy a film with
my family,
and you're sitting here shooting freaking selfies and shit while we're trying to enjoy a movie. Like, that's the type of crap that happens to me at movies. Like, it's annoying. Like, I mean, the only good experiences I've had in a movie theater is when I see Star Wars.
Yeah,
because it's usually
a bunch of Star Wars nerds.
It's a midnight showing. It's a bunch of like-minded people as myself, and we enjoy it and have a great time. Even with Avengers Endgame, when I saw it, there was people that were like either talking to the movie on their damn cell phone. Guy walking in with this friggin' flashlight on his phone so he could see where he was going in the middle of a scene. You're just like, I'd rather just sit at home and, oh, hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to hit pause real quick. I'm going to go use the restroom, come back. Hey, I need something to drink, need a snack, watch it on my own time and be able to enjoy it more in my own comfort setting than in another setting that's not controllable to my liking.
Okay, because I too watched the Suicide Squad at home on HBO Max. I don't know if this was a mistake on the part of HBO. Well, no. I'm not talking about the releasing of just on the theatrical release in conjunction with the release on HBO Max. I saw it on Wednesday night. Or like Thursday morning.
I think Thursday. Thursday's when I think they released it early.
Yeah, it was released like a day early, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
because it was interesting because it's like, oh, Wednesday afternoon. I watched it Wednesday afternoon because I was waiting for my shift to come up at work, and I was like I don't feel so great. I'll pop in a movie. I'll pop on a movie, and I elected to watch the Suicide Squad. And you know, in terms of your experience with going to see movies, I've had kind of the opposite. And I've seen everything in terms of bad behavior in a movie theater because I used to work at one, and I have seen it. I have horror stories. That may or may not include it's like asking a few people just to leave for certain reasons. And so to me it's like I feel that I'm a lot more aware of that type of behavior when I do go to movies, and I haven't noticed it. Now, in terms of where we're at, there are those theaters that like have a dinner service with it, or like have wait staff that come in, but that it's like, you know, because that you expect it, you've elected to go to this theater, you realize what it is that's happening, so you're not upset by it, because you might also need the services of your waiter to come and, like, you know, refresh your beverage or take a food order or something along those lines. But in terms of like the Suicide Squad, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know if let's put it this way. I am not invested to go see it in theater. I'm not so invested in this film to go through and repay a ticket price to go see it in the theater.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, it's completely understandable. Like, I mean, there was a lot of hype built around the movie, especially with
about who was going to be in it,
who was going to be in it, what characters are going to be in it. Now, granted, they're all B-level supervillains and stuff like that from across a huge platform of comic books, from Batman, Superman, Flash.
Okay. Weasel is Z-list.
Yeah, okay, yes. Yes, but I mean, you know, you're thinking you're gonna, you know, get to see all these characters in action, and you really don't. I mean, you do and you don't.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I
imagine that
was
they got
perfectly fine with how they did it and what they did, and I mean, it was fun to see some of those characters for a short amount of time as we did. But it was also nice to see the actual Suicide Squad. You know, it felt more to me like that style of comic book come to life than most of the DCU movies that have come before it. I was happy with what James Gunn did. You could totally tell that he had full freedom of what he was doing, because I mean, it was like all of a sudden it was like Warner Brothers and DC were like, you know, screw it, you know, hey, here you go, here, come over here, we're gonna take the handcuffs off, you know, we're just gonna sit here, wait, hold on, let us take off the, you know, take off your mouth gag and stuff, so, you know, hey, go out, have fun, make the movie you want to make, and make you know, make fans happy. And I thought he did. You know, it definitely was a James Gunn film. I mean, from the amount of gore to language to action to incoherentness of the storyline, which is an issue of contention with me.
Yeah, because like, well, it's like, since you have mentioned it, I agree with all of your points, and I think that because part of me, in terms of the lack of cohesion in terms of storytelling, it kind of bugged me because it felt like I was jumping all over the place. And as soon as I would get into as soon as I was getting into the one story, okay, let's throw you over to left field and see where you land.
Well, he basically probably went to Tarantino. I was like, so how do you pull this off? You know, because it definitely was kind of like just how much it was all over the place. It was almost reminiscent of like a Tarantino film, to where you're here 1 second, you're here another second, you're here in another second, and then you try and kind of bring it all together and tie everything together. And some people can do that really well, and some people can't. There definitely was some misses with that with Suicide Squad, but I mean, overall, like the characters that they chose to make the main characters in the movie, I was happy with. Like, I mean, I loved seeing Polka Dot Man. I loved seeing, Bloodshot, King Shark,
Yep.
Harley, but like the only character that I was like, who the hell is this? Because I've never heard of him, was John Cena's character,
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Like, I was like, who? Like, I even went back through and I was like, let me Google this character because I have no idea if he's a villain, a good guy,
Is he a villain?
anti-hero.
Yeah.
What the hell is he, and where did he come from? And he wasn't even originally a DC character. He came from a different comic book company I've never even heard of. But yeah, so I was just kind of like, okay, he's an interesting character, and I mean, you knew something was gonna have to happen because he's getting his own show on HBO Max. So, but he was originally owned by Carlton Comics, and then later it says he was acquired by DC Comics, and his first appearance was in Fighting Five.
Which I mean, it's like for a comic book character go through and like, they were introduced here, then acquired by X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
That's not an uncommon occurrence.
No, not at all, not at all. But like, I've never heard of Peacemaker. Like, I was like, when they were like, I was like, did they just make up a character for John Cena because they wanted him in the film? Like who the hell is this guy?
I mean, it's like, but the whole entire thing of like them making up that character for John Cena. I mean, he played it. It's like he played it well. It was it was a character that was a decent foil against Idris Elba's character.
Mm-hmm.
And even God, who's the lieutenant that?
Oh, Flag.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like it was a foil for Flag too, because Flag is here to basically uphold justice as the only. It's like I'm the only one without an explosive in my head.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, it was kind of funny because I'm sitting there watching it, and you have the whole, the first part of the movie, all the stuff that happens and stuff like that. I was like, freaking James Gunn pulling a Kevin Smith and like basically getting all of his buddies together and be like, I'm gonna put you guys in a superhero movie and you're gonna play this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and you're gonna love it. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And then they're like no longer in the movie within like 15 minutes, and you're just like,
well,
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Everyone got a very nice payday for one night's worth of work.
Right, pretty much, right? Pretty much. That's why you only saw the photos of everybody on the beach. So, without giving too much away of what happened and everything like that. But it definitely, I mean, I was hoping to see a little bit more Nathan Fillion because I love Nathan Fillion. He's one of my favorite actors, but The detachable kid was pretty awesome to see, and pretty hilarious. Like I could watch a show just based off of the detachable kid just to see the stupid shit that he would do.
Uh, yeah, no, and let it's like now that we've talked about like all the main characters of the movie, let's talk about the big baddie. Because this is,
Oh,
in all honesty, I kind of feel the big baddie is Starro,
mm-hmm.
and they kind of it's like they really have his power set down to a T.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
I feel that he was kind of done dirty.
Really? Why?
I don't know. It's like Starro. He was beat by Bart Allen to start off with.
Right.
So he's beat by one of the Flashes.
Yep.
And even then, I think Starro, didn't he have help?
I think so.
And it was of the level of Superman, Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
a Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter. It's like, because it was the Justice Society. I think I'll have to double check and see if I'm wrong. But
The Justice Society of America.
well, yeah, it was the Justice Society of America that took him down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's like no one on the Justice Society of America, well, not no one.
JSA.
It's like people that are on the JSA are not pushovers.
No.
No, nor is really anyone that's on the Suicide Squad, mind you.
No.
But it just feels that, I mean, you have a person that, I mean, Starro fought Superman, right?
I believe so. I believe so.
And what was the result of that?
Yeah.
Did Starro win? Did Superman win? Everyone expects Superman to win, but you know,
Superman always wins, dude.
but you get a parasitic starfish on your face.
Right.
That could change.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, one really. It's like how does that work against a Kryptonian?
Yes. Very true. Very, very true.
So
yeah, I mean that,
like he is a cosmic being
mm-hmm.
that is kind of beaten out. It's like beaten out by the underdogs. Now everyone loves a good underdog story.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
But the Suicide Squad is the underdogs of the underdogs.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know. It's like I guess I can kind of sort of see it, but at the same time I sort of can't. So I mean, go ahead.
How they defeated him was kind of interesting. I mean, per se. I mean, it definitely. I wasn't like, oh, okay, that's cool. More or less, I was like, damn, like. I couldn't imagine going out like that, whether I was a 100-foot tall starfish or
a little bit heebie-jeebie in terms of like, okay, it's like this way to die would be terrible.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I definitely was like, all right, yeah, that's pretty. I'm sitting there. I mean, I watched it with Rory, who loves DC as much as I do, and her three favorite characters are Batgirl, well, four, I'd say. I have to say four: Batgirl, Supergirl, Harley, and Poison Ivy. So of course she was invested with Harley, and her biggest thing was there wasn't enough Harley, of course, but like she was like you, she was pissed off at the beginning of the movie, so she was just like,
I wasn't pissed off at it.
What the hell? Well, she was, but I was like, baby, just go read a comic book, please. Just read a comic book, okay? You'll understand. These characters are like, these are just kind of like throwaway characters, and I kind of felt that something like this was gonna happen when they're announcing all these different characters, and I'm like, dude, I haven't heard the names of these characters in like 20 years.
Yeah,
Like I remember these characters from like, you know, the free comic books you got from Radio Shack back in the 80s. You know, so it's just kind of like I was like, these guys, they're gonna kill. I mean, they're gonna kill off probably half of the squad. Now,
everyone's gonna die.
was I expecting it to be as soon as it was? Not really. You know, I thought it was gonna be, you know, throughout the movie and not within like the certain amount of time that it was. So, but no, dude, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I'll go back and I'll rewatch it. Will I go spend money to watch it in the theater? Probably not. But that's just because I don't like going to the theater.
It's like your theater experience has been terrible.
Yeah. So,
which it's that's it's like, and to say that is not a reflection on the movie itself.
No, not at all.
For me to say I'm not gonna go through and spend money to go see it in the theater, that is kind of a reflection on it, because I'm like, I've seen it and I don't necessarily need to watch it again. Now, if I'm bored and I can't find something to watch, will probably go watch The Suicide Squad again, in all honesty. Right. I mean, it might be that there's something that I missed that was like that would be an aha moment or something along those lines, or I'd watch it because, you know, Idris Elba, Margo Robbie, you know, John Cena.
You know, he was really good in that. I mean, he was really good as that character. You know, I was really surprised. Like, I've seen him, like, I've watched his movie career kind of closely because I wanted to see. I was like, okay, is he gonna be another Rock, or is he gonna be, you know, a Batista? You know, and you know, the movie that he did, his last movie that he did, the family movie, oh crap, what was it called?
The last movie that he was in was Fast and Furious 9.
He was in Fast 9. He was okay in that. But he did that. Oh crap! What the heck was the name of it? He was a firefighter. Playing with Fire.
Oh yeah,
Playing with Fire. He was in that, and that was just kind of. That was a hard watch. That was it was a good family movie, but it was a hard watch watching him. You could definitely tell he was just, you know, getting his feet wet and acting. I mean, he was okay in Bumblebee. I mean, he was all right in his limited role that he was in.
But it's a Transformers movie. It was like, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, you don't. Transformers movies have never been held in high esteem in terms of their acting quality.
Right. But like, I mean, when you think of like Fast and the Furious, I mean, do you really have to have good acting in those movies? I mean, you don't go to those movies for Oscar-winning performances or anything like that. You go there for the stupid shit that they do with cars.
Yes.
You know?
I would say that one of John Cena's more notable performances was in Trainwreck with Amy Schumer. No, it wasn't Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer is a different comedian. Oh,
no, it was with Amy Schumer.
Okay, yeah, it's Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer, yes. And Bill, it's like in Bill Hader. You know, the guy has some comedic chops to him. You know, we saw like, I mean, his first movie was like The Marine.
Yeah.
Which no one really holds The Marine as like, okay, this is your first movie, was produced by the WWE, whatever.
Yeah, and they've done like 4 or 5 of those damn movies.
I think they've done more than 4 or 5, but you know.
Oh Jesus. That's a story for another time.
And and then he also was in like 12 Rounds, which was another WWE movie. They've had a crap ton of those. I think we're approaching round 56 at this point in time. Maybe, I don't know. But I mean, no, it's like, you're absolutely right. It's like, you know, he did a good job. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in terms of Peacemaker when we get the HBO series, because I am of the mindset that he is kind of following the same path, or it's like following a parallel path to what the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did, in terms of like, okay, I can't wrestle forever,
Yeah.
but I can do, it's like I can do movies more. I can
Right.
do, it's like movies are probably gonna have a better payout. I
Yeah.
mean, there's probably a whole bunch of different thoughts in terms of it's like, oh, I can have more time with my family. I can do this. I don't have to be on the road for 364 days of the year, or however. It's like
Right.
how often they travel, because dear God, they travel a lot. I've seen the
Yeah.
documentaries.
And and when you look at it too, I mean, especially when The Rock started out too, when he did The Mummy 2 and then did The Scorpion King right after that. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, those movies are not
those
those.
were some cringe-worthy performances, but I mean, now he's the hottest ticket in Hollywood.
The
You
Mummy
know?
2 was bad because of the CGI. I think
Yes,
the
the
CG
CGI.
the CGI Scorpion King and the introduction scene of The Rock. The Mummy 2 is an okay movie.
Yeah, it's an okay movie, but
But
yeah, that was
there's like the whole entire thing of like, okay, The Rock trying to speak ancient Egyptian,
yeah,
not believable. And then
no,
it's like, oh, that's some bad, bad, bad CGI.
yeah,
Uh, but I mean, you know, it's like I'm gonna, it's like I'm in terms of like a reaction of don't go see, uh, Suicide Squad. I'd say at least watch it once.
okay.
I mean that's my opinion. What's your take on it?
Scorpion King?
No, Suicide Squad.
Oh, Suicide Squad.
Did I say
Sorry, I went.
Scorpion King or did I say Suicide?
No, I brain farted there for a minute.
You old man.
Sorry. What's my take? I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. My problem here's my problem with movies. Whether it's a comic book movie, whether it's a stupid comedy, um, all the way down to a certain level, I'm gonna like it. I don't know why. I just a long time ago. I guess it's because growing up, being in theater and having friends that work in the industry, and being in a few things myself, I have an appreciation for what goes into creating that type of content, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or whatever, right?
Okay.
Um, they put everything that they have into it and they work their butts off to give us something to watch and enjoy. And I find it hard to say I hated it. I didn't like it. Like, I'll find parts of a movie that's really bad that I'll like, and then never talk about the bad parts because I'll fixate on the good parts of it and stuff like that, and appreciate what they're trying to do. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some movies out there that I've just watched and was like, this is the worst pile of steamy poop I've ever seen in my life, and I'll never watch it again. By the way, anything Uwe Boll touches. But I enjoyed it, even though with the flaws that it had. There were some standout characters, with John Cena. Hell, I mean, dude, just the ray tracing and the development of King Shark was probably one of the best looking characters
Oh
that
yeah.
DC has put on screen as a CGI character in any of their movies.
I mean,
And
he's not wearing a green colored muscle suit, so I mean,
right, right, and Stallone did a fantastic job playing that's like
wait,
his
that was
perfect
Sylvester
role.
Stallone.
That was Sylvester Stallone.
Oh my
So
God, I didn't even know that.
yeah, so I mean, he was great. Margo Robbie, I mean, Margot Robbie. This I'd mentioned, I'd said this to my daughter. I was like, this is the first DC movie where I felt like we actually got Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Like, we really, really got Harley Quinn. Like, from that whole scene with the head dictator and stuff like that, what led up to all that shit, and just her, just that whole sequence, right there, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, you didn't get a lot of Harley Quinn in this movie.
No.
You got a few snippets here and there and some badassery, but you felt like you were watching Harley Quinn. Like you really got that sense of Harley Quinn. Like
Yeah.
they did an okay job in
Birds of Prey.
in Birds of Prey and in Suicide Squad. It was okay. Like they did an okay job, but they didn't really. It felt like that they didn't understand that character. You know what I mean? Like they just put the character on screen and just basically gave us a Hot Topic version of the character, if that makes sense.
Yep.
To where James Gunn really understood and knew the character, her psyche and stuff like that, and really kind of brought that out into this movie. And I really appreciated that, because that what we saw in this movie is what we were missing in the last 2 movies that she was in, and I would love to see more of that. Like if we got just another straight Harley Quinn movie, just her doing that crap, I'd be good. And if if they wanted to throw in Poison Ivy, I'd be okay with that too. Because we all know what
transpires from that. Yeah,
transpires from that. So I mean, just give James Gunn the reins to direct a Harley Quinn movie.
Give him carte blanche, and he'll produce a decent. He will produce a decent product.
Yep, pretty much. So, but I mean, I like the characters. Like, man, I mean, like damn, now I'm blanking on his name. Polka Dot Man. He was such a great character. Like, I mean, that was so awesome. And unfortunately, what happened to him was you kind of figured it was going to happen, but at the same time, it was kind of cool to see that character come to life on screen from the comic books. I mean, I could have done without seeing see the different facets of his mom, but
yeah,
but other than that, I mean, I liked the development that he did with the main characters. We definitely got teased with all these characters that were supposed to be in the movie, that were in the movie, but the characters that we got, as the main characters, I was happy with. I felt like that was the Suicide Squad per se. Was I happy with some of the outcomes of those characters? Primarily, a couple of the main characters from the original Suicide Squad. Not really, but I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, you can't go back and rewrite it. So I mean, for the story, it made sense.
Yeah.
But I like how it ended. I like the little Easter egg at the end where where we went back to the beach and something happened. I thought that was great. Now, but other than that, dude, I mean, it definitely. I mean, for me, I would say, if I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give it around probably about an 8.5, around there.
Okay. It's like if we're sticking with the Knights theme, it's like in terms of shields, I would go 7.5.
7.5. Okay, that's fair. That's definitely fair, and I completely understand it, even though you're wrong. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, I know. I completely understand that, and I think it was. I was happy that I watched it with my daughter, because a lot of the things that you said were the same things that she said, and how she felt about it, and the story and stuff like that. So, no, it's completely understandable. But I mean, I give it the 8.5 because I really enjoyed what they did with the development of the main characters. Yeah. And how King Shark basically stole the show for me, and Ratcatcher too. She was fantastic. That character, I didn't think I'd like that character, but I was like, she's awesome. And her little rat Sebastian was.
Sebastian's adorable.
I want a pet rat named Sebastian.
It's so, like, is he waving at me?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we're sitting there and it's the end scene, and my daughter's sitting next to me, and she's like, I swear to God, if they kill that rat, I'm gonna be pissed. And I'm like, it's not looking too good for him, but we'll see.
It's not looking.
And then he comes cruising up, and he's okay, and she's like, okay, I'm good. I'm like, all right, all right.
I'm pretty sure that there would have been riots had Sebastian. It's like revenge for Sebastian,
Right.
not Sebastian Stan. We want Sebastian the rat.
That damn little rat stole the show for me too, man. That was fantastic.
Well, I mean, because in terms of tropes for writing, if you want to establish the bad guy, you have them be mean to animals.
Yeah.
That's how you do a true telling of who's a bad guy in terms of like most storytelling.
Yeah. I did like how they made Idris Elba's character scared of rats. I thought that was
played it to a T.
Pretty funny.
Played it to a T.
It so well. He played it so well. And he was another one of those standout characters, kind of like Will Smith in the first Suicide Squad with Deadshot. I mean, it just was.
And this is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Idris Elba, I think, stated at some point in time about how he was tired of comic book movies. I could be wrong.
I don't know. Maybe. But I'm like, I think this is the first one he's ever done, isn't it?
Dude, he was in Thor.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God. How did I forget that? Oh, my God. And he was, okay.
He was Heimdall.
I know. The gatekeeper. Oh, my God. Oh, how did I forget that? Yeah. And the sad thing is I just watched Thor like 2 weeks ago.
And like I said, it's like I could be wrong in terms of who the source is. I heard this like as Thor Ragnarok was coming out that Idris Elba wanted to be written out, or not in terms of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and maybe that was just the Marvel Cinematic Universe that he wanted to be written out of.
Yeah,
because it's like, where do I go with this character? That might have been the whole entire thing. So in terms of the context of the quote, I don't know what it is, and so therefore I don't want to go through and be like, it's like, because it's like, oh, it's like he said that he was done with comic book movies, but now he's in another one. What's the deal? So it's like upon further further reflection on what that quote, it's like, what if that is something that he did indeed say, he could, it's like he may have very well could have said it, he could have not said it. I don't know. I will do research to make sure that it's like I'm not talking out of my butt.
There's one thing that I would love to see, but I know it probably will never happen. I mean, you can mark this up on a wish list item for me. I would love to see them make another Suicide Squad movie.
I mean, it's like if they give the reins to James Gunn, it's, I mean,
right. Bring him back.
What's he gonna do after Guardians 3?
Right. Bring him back. Have Idris Elba's Bloodsport. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back Big Will. Okay, as Deadshot. Have Harley. Have King Shark, and just go to town.
It's like I can already like hear the Harley Quinn quote in the room. It's like, I sense a lot of testosterone.
Yeah, right. Like that would be like, she could be the comedic relief for the whole thing, which she kind of already is.
Yeah.
But I mean, that just I would love to see. I would just love to see Bloodsport and Deadshot and a film together, or just something together. I think they would just. I think that would be money in the bank.
It definitely would be an interesting thing to see. But we do need to move on to part 2 of this.
Yep.
And that is, we have now reached the next weekend is the end of season 1 of the Bad Batch.
Yep.
Shane, do you know if they've been confirmed for a season 2?
I believe they have. Let me double check, but I believe that they have been. I want to say it was announced last week, 2 weeks ago. But I believe they are bringing it back for a season 2.
Okay.
Let me just yep, they are.
All right.
Yep. According to IGN, Polygon, and Deadline, it's been renewed for season 2.
Okay. So it's like over the course of this first season, we have been introduced to the characters of the bad. It's like of Unit 99, Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshairs, Tech, and what's the fifth one's name?
Oh crap. Thanks for putting me on the spot.
He's not. It's dude. I'm not remembering it either. So therefore, I'm just as guilty.
Okay, so there's Wrecker.
Yeah, the
Hunter. Crosshairs. Tech.
And
I can picture him. He's
the one guy who's not an original member.
No, they saved him at the end of during the last season of the Clone Wars. Oh my God.
All right, I got the phone out. I'm looking it up.
I can't believe I'm forgetting that right now. My brain is just like I mean, it's D. Bradley Barker who does the voice for all of them, but I just had the name and I lost it.
I have it.
Oh my God.
What happens when you yell in a cave?
Echo.
Yep.
Damn it. There you go. There you go. Fudge. Why couldn't why couldn't we remember that?
I think it's I don't know. But it's like we've been introduced to these characters. It's Wrecker, Echo, Tech, Hunter, and Crosshairs. We have seen what it is that and we've seen the essential birth. It's like the real birth, the real birthing of the Empire, and what that is meaning to a lot of the systems, because we see that we see it on Ryloth. What it means to some of the troops and we see what it means to the system of government that is being established in terms of the Empire itself. And of course we have little tiny Omega. And I know you have it's like I know you have thoughts on Omega. It's okay though. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because this is not just the ending of this is not just the season finale of season 1 of the Bad Batch. This is the official end of the Clone Wars saga.
So yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting to see what happens, since this is the closeout of the Clone Wars. Just from what transpired over this last episode between the Bad Batch and Crosshairs, I'm really curious to kind of see what's gonna happen or what's going on. I mean, I don't trust Crosshairs as far as I can throw them, but
at this point in time, no one does.
Yeah, so I mean, you find out one huge thing from this episode. I mean, I mean, we're gonna be in the season finale, so everybody's gonna have to have watched it by the time this hits. But I mean, he already had his inhibitor chip removed.
Yeah, so he's been following orders the whole entire time,
right?
Which,
but here's my question though: did he have it removed, or was it removed when his face was burned? Because you don't see a scar on his you have the scar on his face, the crosshair on his face,
Yeah, but he's got that.
but
He's got the scar. He
he's
has
got that
this.
nasty burn scar now from the previous episode. So, I mean, was it burnt out
Well, he
of
said
his
that he had
head
it.
during that? He said it
He's.
had it removed, but you never see.
He said he had it removed a long time ago. So what a long time ago means to Crosshairs
Yeah,
versus everybody else in the Star Wars universe,
right.
completely and totally subjective. We don't know.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that we will find out when that took place
Hmm.
in the next episode. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I think what's going to happen is like in terms of like my predictions, and like Dave Filoni has proven me wrong, like, you know, every other time. Has proven me wrong every other time. So
Yeah.
more than likely, it's like this prediction is going to be just wrong.
Hmm.
Crosshairs is going to admit in terms of it's like he's like, okay, this is when I had my inhibitor chip removed.
Yeah.
Here's,
Yeah. It's interesting to. It's gonna be interesting to see. I'm trying to wrap my head around how they're going to wrap everything up in 30 minutes. Like I don't see how that's possible. So I mean, I have a feeling that this next episode, this finale episode, is gonna end on a cliffhanger. That's the only thing that I can wrap my head around that's going to happen, even now that they've announced that there's going to be a season 2. So it's going to end on a cliffhanger. What that's going to be, who knows? But I mean,
yeah.
it's been, I mean, of all of the animated shows that they've had, from the Clone Wars to Rebels to right? Rise of the Resistance, or is that the ride? No, Rise of the Resistance.
Rise of the Resistance is the ride.
Um, but it's
I mean, you listed
it's
the big 3 animated features: the
yeah,
Clone Wars,
the
Rebels,
Clone Wars Rebel.
and now the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Um, it's I know the Clone Wars had a lot of filler episodes. Like, I know that there was a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they were good. Some of them were really good. Some of them were like, okay. I'll let you pass this week.
I mean, that's the reason why Disney Plus has an essential.
Right.
It's like,
But
if you want to get caught up, watch these episodes.
like, I feel that this, like, they could have just made this season 12 episodes, maybe 10, and I would have been okay with it, because some of the filler episodes were like, just kind of just lame. Some of them are really good. I mean, bringing back Cog Bane, bringing back Gregor,
Because Dave Filoni loves to do that.
right?
It's like,
He loves to do that stuff.
Let's have this one character that everyone else knows that's in
Right.
this other series, and have him be in it for a hot minute, and we're fine.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I love about Filoni, is he is all about tying everything together, like,
Yes.
making everything make sense, fall into place. Like, I mean, not just to each show, but to the movies as well. What he did with the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
All the way up through the last season, to what he did with Rebels, to what he did with why do I keep wanting to call it the Rise of the Resistance? It's not Rise of the Resistance. It's what was the last one? Something Resistance. Must not have been that. It was only 2 seasons, but anyways, tying that into the Force Awakens and stuff like that. Like, he's done a great job of doing that. But like, some of these other characters that, not characters, but other filler episodes that he's done, is just kind of like, I could have done without. It almost felt like it was kind of a waste of 30 minutes. Some of them didn't really feel like a Star Wars story to me in some sense, and I know that's surprising coming from me, as much of a Star Wars guy that I am, and how much I love the Clone Wars and all those. I mean, I love the Bad Batch, don't get me wrong, but I could have done without some of these filler episodes, because they just really didn't do anything to move the story along, or pique my interest in wanting to continue to watch. And I've spoken to other people that are huge fans of the Clone Wars, love the Clone Wars, love Rebels. They don't like the Bad Batch for whatever reason, and it's because of these filler episodes is just kind of they're just kind of boring. I hate to say that word. I don't want to be negative about it, but I mean, some of it is like you're just like, like I could have done with that episode. Like that was kind of a waste of time.
I
Like you start off kind of big, and then you start bringing in these different characters like Cogbane, bringing in Fennec, and then bringing in Gregor and stuff like that, and you want to see kind of more of that. Like those storylines were kind of cool and nice little fillers, but just like the one that they did where they went back to where they're hanging out at, um and they were working for the for what's her name,
Sid.
Sid, yeah, when they're working for Sid, you know that episode was like, what was the point of that episode? Like that had no real like attachment to any of the storyline or anything like that, except for that they worked for Sid, and Sid got basically taken out of power on the planet, and they were helping her get it back. Okay, all right. And I mean, my other gripe is Omega. Like, she was kind of cool at the beginning, but now it's kind of like, like I kind of see what you're doing, Lucasfilm, but like I get it. You had a great formula in The Mandalorian where you had the Mandalorian with Baby Yoda, and that worked really, really well. And it feels like they're kind of like, okay, let's use that kind of cookie cutter because it works so well here. Let's do it here, but let's like give them something a little bit different, but kind of the same, feel to it and stuff. And it kind of felt like it was working at the beginning, but now I feel like Omega's more of a nuisance than anything. Like except for this last episode, like going back to Camino, and you know
It's like she pulled her own weight.
right. And that, but in the other episodes, it was just like, adventures in babysitting. You know what I mean? It's like, we're babysitting, but we're not getting paid, and we have this kid that just won't listen to us. So, but that's just kind of my take. But what's that mean? No, not much. But I mean, it's been a fun ride. I definitely want, I'm invested in it. I'm glad it's coming back for season 2. With all Star Wars Filoni animated shows, they start off slow. The first season is kind of thrown out there. The second season starts to pick up a little bit. Then you get your third season, and then you get to about the midway of the third season, and you're like, holy crap, this is the greatest show ever made. Because it goes from being like this kid-friendly, like, show to like, okay, now it's for the fans. Okay, I got that crap out of the way. Okay, I've taken care of the kids. Like, kids, there you go. There's your fun stuff there. Let's get dark. Let's get dirty. Let's bring everything that we possibly can to make the fans go, oh yeah. Because I mean, they did that with the Clone Wars. They did that with Rebels. I mean, the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars were they were good, but they weren't great. And then you get to like probably about 5 or 6 episodes into the third season of the Clone Wars, then they bring Katie Lucas in to start writing for the show, and that's when she brings back Darth Maul, and it just goes from being this kind of Star Wars kids show to like this really, it's still a Star Wars kids show, but it's freaking dark. Like, I mean, super dark. And then they did the same thing with Rebels. Started off first season, they did it a little bit sooner in Rebels. First season kind of kiddie, kind of out there for the kids, and then you get like midway through season 2 and then it gets super, and then it gets dark. So I mean, I'm just waiting for that transition to kind of fall suit, because it's kind of almost Filoni's MO with these shows. So it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be keeping an eye out on. Like, I mean, if they I mean, they've kind of gone a little bit dark just over this last episode. So it's going to be interesting to see how they finish that up. And if they continue that trend throughout season 2, because if they really start getting dark, I mean, who knows, dude, we may get to see Darth Vader, because I mean,
well, it's like we might get to see Darth Vader while he's still on Mustafar.
Yep.
Yep. Which we got a little bit in terms of Rebel 1. And it's like to kind of be like a little, to talk a little bit in terms of counterpoint to those filler episodes that you're talking about. I think those are mainly there so that way the fans of the show get invested in the character of Omega. I have a fluffy animal in front of the camera now. You make your regular guest appearance late. So like those episodes that we see, or those filler episodes where we start to see Omega kind of come into her own almost, I think are those filler episodes. I might be wrong in terms of what it is. It's like what you're talking about what you were referencing as filler episodes. But like for me, I'm not expecting a whole lot of, it's like I'm not, for me it's like I wasn't expecting like a whole lot from the first season. I am expecting more from season 2 than I am from season 1.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolutely. Once we get beyond season 1, we are in uncharted territory.
Yep. Pretty much, because now you got to go through, because I mean,
this is before Rebels. This is before Rogue One. This might take place during some stuff that happened in Solo.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to see if, because I mean, did they not just release the trailer for Andor for Cat? Right?
I don't know if they have or not. I mean, it's not like we can't fact check or something.
I think I could have swore one of my friends posted it today that they released a teaser for it. I mean, so I mean, could. I mean,
it's like the Andor first official look. We'll have a link in the description down below to that teaser trailer.
Yep. So I'm curious to see if we are going to see some sort of tie-in to that, because Andor takes place before Rogue One.
Yeah.
So, are we, how, are we going to start seeing, the Bad Batch start kind of tying those storylines in? Because I mean,
is the Bad Batch going to become the
springboard for the other series? Because I mean, you're going to have Andor, you're going to have the Obi-Wan show.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, without having, kind of having the conclusion to the Clone Wars, that's what, they could do that. Or, I mean, we kind of already saw the rise of the Rebels in the Rebels animated series.
Yeah. Oh, and the show that you're thinking of is just called Star Wars Resistance.
Okay, Resistance. Okay,
but that is dealing with Poe Dameron recruiting for people for the rise for the Force Awakens,
for the Resistance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, there's definitely a lot of ways that they could go with season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could definitely use that as a springboard to kind of tie into Andor, even though, I mean, it would be pretty badass if we saw live action versions of the Bad Batch, but I don't think we're gonna get to see that. But that'd be pretty cool. But it's definitely gonna be interesting to see where they take that, because
I mean, with Lucasfilm, you never know, considering that they've had this spaceship from Rebels show up multiple times.
Yes.
They've had it show up in it's like they had it show up in
they had it in Rogue One,
and Rise of
Skywalker. Yep,
it was in both of those.
Yep.
So,
and they had Chopper in Rogue One as well too. So, who knows? I mean, who knows? It's definitely going to be interesting. I definitely would love to see more of Hera and of Cassian, but not to take away from the Bad Batch, but
that's its own show. That is its own show.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder if they're setting something up like that, like
Could very well
Yeah,
possibly be.
because
And
I mean, those are two of the most favorite characters from that series. You know what I mean?
thank you, Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what they do, how they do it, and what all of that's going to entail, especially with season 2, if now that the Clone Wars is over. You know,
Because
is it going to get into,
it's
I mean, there's so many ways that it could go, because I mean, like I said, you still haven't seen Vader. You
mhm.
know, are we going to see the Bad Batch get sent on missions to try and go save Jedi? Because now we're in that story arc of Vader basically going through with the 501st, his Vader's fist, his group of stormtroopers, and wiping out what's left of the Jedi.
You know that it's like,
So
you know who it is that we could possibly see then. Star
everybody, no,
Well, no, Star Killer.
yeah, true,
And Star Killer is voiced by Sam Whitaker,
yep,
who
yep.
is it's like who is a very big Star Wars nerd.
He's a Star Wars alum. I mean, he's Darth Maul, he's Emperor Palpatine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so I mean,
It's
you
like,
never. I mean, even though
or wait, or is
when Disney took over Lucasfilm, you know, the Force Unleashed games were made legend. They're not canon.
okay.
And Filoni,
But Filoni
has a
likes
knack of bringing those characters into canon. So I mean, dude, that would be
well,
like, I mean, who's really gonna be the antagonist for the Bad Batch? I mean, if Crosshairs rejoins the team, I mean, other than the Empire, who
would be the bad guy?
who would be the bad guy? Like, I mean,
And
if they
it's like,
did that,
well, it's like, just that way it's like we're on the same page. When does Star Killer actually come on board? Because he's after the Purge,
yeah,
or he's after it's like he's after the Purge of the Jedi Temple.
hmm
He is before A New Hope, isn't he?
yeah, he is. Oh crap. So he's brought in around the time that Vader's going through and hunting down the Jedi, because he uses him to hunt down the Jedi for him and wipe them out. So ooh, that's dude, I like so many possibilities, dude. So many different
mean, it's like
possibilities for it.
we could it's like, I think
I mean, we could get lost in theories of what could happen and what we want to see, but I mean, this last episode, I
okay.
mean,
So
you got to see they brought Grand Moff Tarkin back in, which was great.
They did, and I
So
found out when it's like I did find out when the Star Wars Force Unleashed takes place. It takes place to BBY, so 2
Okay.
years before the Battle of Yavin.
okay, so yeah, so
And
I mean,
Rebels. When does Rebels take place? Because Rebels takes place.
relatively, it's the beginning of the rebellion. So it's because it's
So
from the
Star
time.
Killer
So
might
from
be
the
too
time.
soon.
So from the time of, yeah, because well, it couldn't be. It wouldn't be too soon. I mean,
Or the
you could
build
rewrite it just to bring them in.
Yeah, the building
But,
of
I
the
mean,
building of this.
between Episode 3 and A New Hope is 16 years. 16, 17 years, because Luke and Leia are like 16, 17 years
17 years old. They're 17.
old. So, yeah, so that would be,
Could
so
theoretically.
Rebels. I think Rebels is like maybe 5 years before the Battle of Yavin.
So theoretically, we could go through and see the starting of the Star Killer program,
Mm-hmm.
because in the Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, or it's either the first one or the second one, I can't remember, but you get to go to something that looks like a Camino and cloning facility.
Yes. Yep. Well, and here's the other thing too. I mean, you've got, so in the first game, he's basically Vader's bounty hunter,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the cloning, which they hadn't really talked anything about in Star Wars lore until Attack of the Clones, where we got the clones. But it was never mentioned again up until the Rise of Skywalker with the cloning of Snoke.
Cloning of Snoke.
So,
Yeah.
so I mean, it,
I mean, it would tie things.
Theoretically, it would tie things together. Like it really, really would. So, I mean, let me see. I'm checking right now. So it looks like Rebels, if these are 5-year increments, so it'd be 10 years before A New Hope
Mm-hmm.
is when the Rebels was.
I think what needs to happen is that you and I at some point in time need to meet up and be like, okay, we're gonna put this all on a board. We're gonna have
Oh my god.
we're gonna it's like we're gonna have we're gonna have the string to go from point A to point B.
Oh my gosh.
And we will look insane, but it will be fun doing it in terms of the process.
It'll be a really bad depiction of what a CSI looks like.
I mean, hey, it's like I would be down to do this. I think
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also it's like we'd get if we got Lee to come and join us.
Yes.
And go through it and be like, because it's like you and Lee are the two most well known in terms of Star Wars lore that I know other than myself.
Mm-hmm.
So going through and being like, okay, this is where they could go, this is what they could do, and just like make a stream out of it or make an episode out of it would be fantastic.
I think that would be something that we would have to do on we'd have to have a Twitch live stream, because that would probably be a 12-hour stream between the three of us.
It would be like, okay, well, it's like, well, we're starting here and we're gonna go to there.
that would be an episode where we would have to have a lot of beer and a lot of Red Bull.
It's like Lee would be the one who's drinking it's like Lee would be the one with caffeine. It's like me.
Yes.
It's like I'd be like, okay, it's like I need a beer just to like slow my brain down for a second.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now I need an energy drink to go through and be like, okay, but
Yeah.
But
Right.
in all honesty,
Oh my god.
I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next
Yes.
week. It's like it's same day as this episode drops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what's going to happen, and
I am.
I do see in terms of of who it is that's going to be the big baddie. The Empire is going to be, of course, the big bad.
Yeah.
But who's going to be the main
protagonist?
the main antagonist.
Antagonist, sorry, the main antagonist. Yeah,
It's like we already know who the protagonists are.
yeah.
There are
I'll
six
tell you.
of them.
I'll tell you what though. I love the fact that they're using Macquarie Stormtrooper design for the beginning of the Stormtroopers. Like that is just. As soon as I saw that, I was like, Macquarie. Oh, yes. Oh yeah. So it's I love that, and that's just Filoni being Filoni. So I love it, and I thank him for that, because that's just amazing.
I'm pretty sure we all do.
Yes.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this week's episode. Tell us what your thoughts are in terms of what you think is going to see happen in the Bad Batch, or tell us what your thoughts were of the Suicide Squad, or leave a thumbs up, subscribe, do all the fun things. And
Yes.
We
show some love.
Thank you, as always, Shane, and I thank you for joining us in this episode of the Roundtable. My name is Brendan, the Nerd of Many Faces. That's been Shane at FTS Cosplay, and thank you for joining us at the Roundtable, and we'll see you next time.